What's going on, everybody? So I was getting ready to, just call it a night. I was working on my sermon for tomorrow, and a couple other projects I've been working on throughout the year. And I stumbled across this, and I was like, man, let me go ahead and just get up and talk about it, because it's sick. And this is another, I guess you could say another piece of evidence that shows that the devil is real, that this is a spiritual battle. And while many, believers sit back and they think, oh, it's, not important, or we hear about it so much, or, a lot of Christians think this is a right leaning political talking point, and they're actually kind of like, they don't even care. Like, they don't want to talk about abortions. And I've even seen, Christian pastors talking about, more with left leaning ideologies. Well, if you're not going to, adopt these babies. And I've seen pastors be um, pro-choice instead of pro-life, and be pro-choice behind their pulpit. And I think it's just sick, because to me it's clear as day what is happening. And I'll try to just run through this very quickly, and then I'll pull up the website for you guys. Um, but just like with the Black Lives Matter movement, I remember many years ago, I went on the website and I exposed how it was really a front for the LGBTQ, and that it was a scam. And on the website, it had in their mission statement that they were against the Western society's view of the nuclear family. And they had all that cisgender language, and there was a bunch of, LGBTQ people involved. And it ended up being a big scam. And we went, and we showed everybody what was on the website. And even when Obama got into office, everything that he did with the LGBTQ through legislation, people think, oh, it's no big deal, we don't need to talk about it. People get tired of hearing it. This is why the Bible says people will have itching ears. But look at what it's become. Okay, it started with just let people marry who they want to marry, and look at what it's become. And then Charlie Kirk, the reason that he was assassinated, I know everybody's got their different ideas and things like that, but the bottom line is, one of the main places that the devil had invaded was the universities, and literally was brainwashing the next generation with all of these woke ideologies. And it doesn't seem like a big deal yet while it's happening. But when these people become the new judges, and these people become the new lawmakers, and they become the new aldermen and the new senators, right? And they're, in positions of power, think about that for a second, how bad that's going to be. All right. And so, with that being said, all right, we know what abortion is. I'll talk about it after. I'm going to just pull this up real quick. So these are the individuals right here. Okay, shout your abortion. It's a pretty, big movement. They go out there and they do these protests. All right, you see the T-shirts and stuff. Uh, F the patriarch. Clearly looks like a gay man. Everyone knows I had an abortion. All right, the whole my body, my choice. Right, the typical. We've seen it. They're trying to make it normal, and you got to think, like, really think about it. I remember there was a video a little while ago where women were crying because they couldn't abort their babies. Think about that. And I'm gonna talk real. I'm not gonna be politically correct about it. But if you did it God's way, you wouldn't have these problems. And that's why they always try to, because it's an antichrist spirit behind this. And it goes all the way to the Bible where, they were sacrificing their babies to Baal. We've seen it in Aztec civilizations, baby sacrifices, because that's what it is. When you have an abortion, you are sacrificing your baby to the God of yourself, right? Self-preservation. This baby is going to inconvenience me. And so what they always try to do is try to argue about GRAPE, right? They always try to make the argument about that, though that never really happens. Most of the abortions that are happening are because people simply don't want to have the baby. And uh I've seen videos where young ladies get on there and they say, I'm gonna purposely get pregnant and go have an abortion just, to give a middle finger to the government, right? Really, what they're doing is giving a middle finger to God, because it is murder. There's no way around it, right? He said, I knew you in the womb. And so, it's really a sickness that, a lot of people, they're too politically correct to address it. But, I seen some young woman talking about this is my eighth abortion, this is my 20th abortion, and they always have like this wicked, evil, laugh. And so, with that being said, same thing we did with the Black Lives Matter thing a couple of years ago. I'm gonna share my screen with you, and I'm going to show you. All right, check this out. This is the Shout Your Abortion website. Okay, you can look it up, and let's just read this. Pre-order abortion or pre-order abortion is everything book. All right. Now notice how the cover is. They've got like the kid kind of colors. Clearly, it looks like a kid's book. And this is an assumption. Watch what we're gonna read here. Okay. Um, Abortion is Everything speaks directly to 5 to 8 year olds about what abortion is, how it might feel, and why people have abortions. With accessible, inclusive language, abortion is everything frames abortion as the accusation of its uniquely human superpower. So, this book is saying that abortion is a superpower, and they are telling you, they're not even hiding it. This book about abortion, we're targeting 5 to 8 year olds, that not teenagers, not high schoolers. We want to get them young. We want to groom them, with our woke ideologies, right? They know what they're doing. While the church is sitting there like, oh, well, let's, we don't really need to address it, or I'm tired of talking about it. These people are getting active. Same thing that they did with the LGBTQ stuff. And that's why Generation Z and all these later generations, we have had a huge increase statistically on kids who are identifying as LGBTQ. All right. So this is on their website. Okay. Um, Speaks directly to 5 to 8 year olds about what abortion is, how it might feel, and why people have abortions with accessible, inclusive language. Abortion is everything. Frames abortion as the accusation of a uniquely human superpower, our capacity to imagine the future and make choices that lead us towards the life we envision. Abortion is a tool that allows human beings to shape our destinies and which has shaped the entire world around us. Parents, caregivers, and educators who work with children have long been searching for a tool to talk with kids about abortion. Lies. Unless, of course, they come from that. Kids are not thinking about this. You know what frustrates me about this? Let's see, it's a hardcover, 36 full color pages. It comes out when is it out already? December 15th, 2025. And so, what I'm going to say, and it's not politically correct, is what? Well, keep your legs closed, do it God's way, and this isn't a problem. But they don't want to hear that. They want to go out there and have as much sex as they want to have, do whatever they want to do, no accountability. And think about how desensitized they've become. Think about how brainwashed they've become. I want to go out there and just do whatever I want to do, sleep with as many men as I want, right? And they think I'm giving a middle finger to misogynists and the patriarch and the government. No, you're giving a middle finger to God. That's what you're really doing. It's sick. It's sad. And so, like I said, if you go look throughout the Bible, right, they Moloch and Baal, and they would have these sexual rituals and temple prostitution and self mutilation and child sacrifice. All right, you can read about it and Leviticus 18, Leviticus 20, um, and that's what this is. When you have an abortion, you are sacrificing that life on the altar of self. This baby's going to inconvenience me. This baby's going to mess up my life. And there's no accountability for not keeping the legs closed. That's the thing, doing it God's way. And now listen, I'm not trying to condemn nobody. If you had an abortion or something like that, don't feel like I'm trying to condemn you. But think about this. What makes them say, let's go after 5 and 8 year olds? And then people will still think, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, it's not really, this is a spiritual war. What you guys are overdoing it. People will really look at something like this and just not find it weird, or not be like, man, this should wake something up inside of me, like to realize, yo, The devil is really out here getting busy going after our children. And so that's why I've said for years we need kingdom everything, because they know what they're doing. They are specifically targeting our children. They're not even hiding it. They're telling you what they're doing. And Christians will still sit back after we saw what happened with the LGBTQ and the drag queens, reading to the babies, and then the grown man, butt naked dancing in front of kids. We've seen videos where you know, kids were throwing dollar bills at gay drag queen men twerking and stuff like that, and naked men at the gay parades and men in women's bathrooms. Same thing that's going on here. And this why it does matter who you vote for. I feel like we've reached a point now though, hey, last trumpet. These people are not going back in the closet. Eventually, all these people that they've been brainwashing in these universities these last 20 years or so, guess what? They're going to be 30, 40. They're going to get in positions of power. They're going to get that pen in their hand. And I think America is going to be in for a rude awakening. So pray, guys. Just pray. Stay vigilant. Stay active. Do whatever it is that God is calling you to do. And we got the book over here, Weirdo Christianity. Go check that out on Amazon. About 600 pages. Been working on it for about 3.5 years. Love you guys. I'm going to go get ready for service tomorrow. www.marcusrogersministries.org if you want to support what we're doing here in Chicago. Just want to keep you guys aware about what's going on. I know people get tired of hearing about it. It's like, man, abortions, LGBTQ, but hey, they coming after our kids. We got to sound the alarm. Amen. God bless you all.